she, her pronouns. I am an assistant dean in the Office of Community Standards, and my favorite place on campus is the Koopa Coffee Shop by Green Library, where you can sit outside and just enjoy the sunshine and have a cup of coffee.
I'm Mark DePerna. I use he, him pronouns. I am an associate dean of students and the director of the Office of Community Standards. My favorite place on campus is any of the Arriaga indoor basketball courts.
To start us off with, could you explain more about what the Office of Community Standards is?
Okay, the Stanford community strives to create meaningful change both on campus and in the world. As the Office of Community Standards, we support this mission by upholding two of Stanford's foundational principles, the fundamental standard and the honor code.
What is Stanford's honor code and how does it apply in both a regular classroom/campus environment and an online environment?
The Stanford Honor Code was written in 1921 by Stanford students, and it is our policy on academic integrity. So within the Honor Code, there are two important things to note. The first being that the Stanford Honor Code is very broad. So while it prohibits unpermitted aid, it does not go into detail about what unpermitted aid is. So this gives a lot of flexibility to instructors to determine what type of aid is and what type of aid is not permitted on each of their exams and on each of their assignments. As a student, this means that you cannot assume that the Honor Code will look the same in each of your courses. You need to carefully read your course syllabi and assignment instructions to make sure that you fully understand the expectations. And if anything is unclear, you should talk to your instructor to clarify. Second, the Honor Code prohibits instructors from proctoring exams. This gives students a lot of trust, and part of Stanford's mission is to prepare students to think broadly, deeply, and critically, and to contribute to the world. When you leave Stanford, there's not always going to be someone looking over your shoulder to ensure that you do the right thing. Instead, you will be responsible for making moral and ethical decisions. We want you to start building those critical skills while you're here at Stanford. Due to COVID-19, the majority of your courses will be offered remotely. The Honor Code still applies to remote courses the same way it does to in-person courses. One of the biggest differences between remote courses and in-person courses is the prevalence of online take-home examinations. At Stanford, take-home examinations are required to be open book. Open book exams place no limitations on the materials or resources that you may access during the exam. However, other people are not included in those materials and resources. As such, open book does not mean that you may consult another person, unless the professor explicitly states that collaboration is permitted. Because open book does not mean that you can consult with another person, you are also not permitted to consult translating services, tutoring services, and question and answer sites. It is a violation of the Honor Code to use sites such as Google Translator, Stack Overflow, Quora, Chegg, online tutors, social media, or Q&A forums for the purpose of completing exams or homework assignments.
Thank you for clarifying that. Similarly, could you explain what the fundamental standard is and how it applies to both regular classrooms or campus environments as well as in an online environment?
So the fundamental standard was written in 1896. It's an aspirational statement of Stanford's ideal of a civic and moral community. Particularly, it states that students at Stanford are expected to show both within and without the university such respect for order, morality, personal honor, and the rights of others as is demanded of good citizens. Failure to do this will be sufficient cause for removal from the university. So the fundamental standard itself is also a broad statement, but it includes violations such as violation of university policies, directives, applicable laws. In the virtual environment, something that we should think about probably is it includes things like Zoom bombing. So those are some of the ways y'all should be thinking about this, but it's really kind of, if you think of, it's a broad statement, but definitely if you go online to where our website is too, we have a list of more particular what violations are.
Can you explain the penalty code and disciplinary processes should either the Honor Code or fundamental standard be violated?
If anybody in the Stanford community suspects that a student might have violated either the Honor Code or the fundamental standard, then they can submit a concern to our office, the Office of Community Standards. Once we receive a concern, we then notify the student that the concern has been received and we initiate an investigation. During the investigation, the student has access to all of the information in the investigative file and is also able to share their perspective about what happened. Sometimes at the end of the investigation, it's determined that there is not enough evidence to file a formal charge, in which case the investigation is closed. Other times, there is sufficient evidence of a violation, at which point the student is charged with violating either the honor code or the fundamental standard. Once there has been a formal charge, our process then moves into the adjudication phase. During the adjudication phase, in order for there to be a finding of responsibility, the burden of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt. If a student is found responsible for a violation, at that point we then move to the sanctioning phase. As we stated earlier, the Honor Code places a lot of trust in students. So because of this, there are significant consequences for students who violate that trust. The standard sanction for a first-time Honor Code violation is a 1/4 suspension and 40 hours of community service. For the fundamental standard, because violations, there's such a broad range that's covered under the fundamental standard, there's no standard penalty that applies to violations. Instead, infractions have led to penalties ranging from a formal warning and community service all the way up to expulsion. For each fundamental standard case, we consider the nature of the offense, the motivation underlying the offense, and precedent in similar cases. I'm not telling you this information to scare you. Rather, I just think it's really important for you to know up front that when we say the Honor Code and the fundamental standard matter at Stanford, we really mean it.
Are there any other resources that your office provides to students as well?
Yeah, so every student who goes through the process is assigned a judicial advisor. The judicial advisor's role is to advise on policies and procedures. They meet with the student to explain the process, the student's rights within the process, and to answer any questions that the student may have. In addition to the judicial advisor, students also have the option to meet with a judicial counselor. So as opposed to the judicial advisor is a member of the Office of Community Standards, judicial counselor are trained volunteers in our community who can provide confidential assistance throughout the process. So those are the resources that our office provides. Students are also welcome to work with, the wealth of resources, the other available resources that they have at Stanford. Our office is also always available for consultation if a student has witnessed an honor code or a fundamental standard violation and kind of wants to know more about the process.
All right. So in our final question, do you have any lasting advice to our incoming new students?
So I think coming to Stanford, whether that's in person, when you get here in person, or virtually, as a lot of us are going to be part of the Stanford community in the fall, it's really exciting. It's a really motivating and rewarding experience. And it can also be stressful from time to time. As such, it's really, really important to take care of your physical and your mental well-being. One thing that I've seen in my role is no one comes to Stanford intending to violate the honor code or the fundamental standard. But in moments of high stress, our ability to access intelligence, creativity, compassion, and ethics is greatly diminished. So it's important to set ourselves up for success and set ourselves up for our ability to do our best work. And one of the ways to do that is to really take care of both our physical and our mental well-being.
So I would add to, really try to remember your own personal values and also that you have options. We always try to instill in students that it's better to do an assignment the right way, even if that means not getting the best grade, than to compromise your integrity in completing that assignment and then maybe getting yourself in deeper by being sent to our office. The other thing I just want to add is that if you do come to our office, we're really not here to shame people. That's not what this is about. We really, like everyone at Stanford, we want to support students. So, part of our role is it's accountability. So kind of, helping students learn that there are consequences for certain actions. But the goal of that is really to help students grow and learn from this. I think we all make mistakes. So what really matters is, how we respond to that.